you allegedly threatened to shoot her?
No, Your Honor, and I should have asked her that she submitted any evidence, because I don't know if you're the same judge that she was actually granted the parte, because I was actually surprised.
I'm not, and it doesn't matter. We do it on testimony. Hold on. So did you claim the same thing against where you were living in Austell against the people you were living with there that you're claiming in this case?
Again, these are federal investigations, because it was lost in the mail. So with the United Postal Services,
my question is the question was, did you file and claim the same thing against the people in Austell? Yes or no?
Have people known that I had money and stole from me? Yes, I have.
Ma'am, did you file a petition claiming the same things against people in Austell that were residing with?
And to answer your question, like I said, you don't know me. I'm a victim of abuse. I was put into the system.
So hold on, we're not going to just start off. Stop.
In today's video, we have a TPO hearing from DeKalb County. In this case, we have a couple that has filed for a TPO against each other. I don't remember ever coming across a case quite like this. We got bickering, pointing fingers at each other, blaming one another, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So grab your tea and popcorn and let's get into the video.
All right, Ms. Nguyen, it is now your turn to testify if you wish. Do you wish to tell the court why you filed when you filed?
I do so wish, Your Honor.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. So tell me, what prompted you filing your petition requesting an order of protection after you were served?
I was prompted to file my petition actually prior to being served. Your question was after. I filed it prior to being served. It was lost in translation because
I'm just saying, it looks like you were served on June 2nd and your petition was filed on June 8th.
Yes, Your Honor, but I spoke with the Women's Resource Center, and a few employees there, they filed it incorrectly because as Ms. Clark conveniently stalked me, that I was assaulted in another similar situation where I met somebody online and I was renting, and they wanted to control my finances. And I filed a petition in DeKalb County at the home that I owned, and it was granted to me, actually.
Right.
Your Honor.
So hold on, are you talking about another case that doesn't involve this petitioner or this respondent?
I did.
Ms. Clark?
No, I was given another case number pertaining with Lakia Clark, but it was misfiled because of my last name already in the court's system.
Okay, so when did you file?
I initially filed the beginning of May.
And why did you file?
I filed a petition of protective order against Ms. Lakia Clark because once I started ending up for myself, not paying for things for her, not going out of my way, she became abusive, demanding, irate, emotionally unstable. She became physically and verbally abusive. I no longer had access to any of the amenities or the house. She wanted me to be isolated in my room. She talked to me as if I was inferior, as if I was her pet chihuahua that she...
I'm going to ask you to focus on acts of violence. So being rude, disrespectful, that sort of thing is bad roommate behavior, bad person behavior, but it's not necessarily acts of family violence or threats of violence. So can you tell me, when you say she became abusive, what specifically do you mean?
Yes, the incident that she became very dangerous in the stove. She would throw my stuff off the stove in an area. She pushed me, she kicked me, she pulled my hair, she forcefully pushed me off the bed. And this all happened, she was dressed up to go out, again, trying to impress me or what have you. And then I called the cops. But if you look at the records, if I provided that information, the cops were called without her knowledge. Once she was aware that I called the cops because she started to assault me in that moment, I just called the cops in that moment, and you can hear her just yelling in the background, belittling me, assaulting me. And then they came to the residence, and that's the initial time where I told them that she was, stealing from me, assaulting me. And those were the initial acts of violence where I provided.
So around what date was this?
This date was around Mother's Day, because she had researched me, and she had said foul things about my children, about whatever she had found out about me, saying that I lied, that I was previously assaulted, which unfortunately I was, and she followed suit as well. And I just allowed the abuse to continue because I always felt if I retaliated, I had no grounds to stand on. So I just let her vent and use me as a punching bag. And
okay. Have you submitted any evidence that you want the court to consider?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
I did submit. I submitted evidence of her pushing me off the bed, removing the bed from me, which I had purchased. I didn't bring anything in there because she had started stealing from me. And then the items that I did leave in there, she stole those as well when I was being treated by the EMS, because after I had been assaulted from a roommate that had sexually assaulted me and produced children, thank you. Okay. She assaulted me. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to gather myself, Your Honor.
Okay. So what evidence is it that you said you want me to look at?
I had provided evidence of her pushing me. I also have other evidence. What is
that evidence of her pushing you?
She is pushing me off, pushing me, kicking me, yelling at me.
Is it a video?
I did attach a video.
Okay, and, so is that when did you send that in?
I sent that in. I believe I submitted, if I didn't submit this in today, it may not have been submitted within the 24 hours, because I had another case that I had responded to. So all that evidence where my petition was granted, my ex parte hearing was granted, I had submitted the appropriate information.
So when did you submit that?
I had submitted that the day after I had spoken to the judge, I believe. I gathered some information.
Do we have any evidence in this case from that?
Judge, I'm not showing a video. I am showing like a picture collage.
There's a picture collage. There's no video that has been submitted that they've received.
So the pictures you can see where Miss LeClaire Clark, she had punched me. She had pulled out my hair. She had jumped on my back. She had went for knives. The incidents where we're talking about her phone, I grabbed my phone. Everything had dropped, my wallet, everything that was in my hand. She just surprised attacked me. And I called the police. And if you can see of all the police records, I have been the one calling the police. Anytime there's never been a time, well, I didn't look at the police open records or anything like that. So I didn't cross-examine her and say, had she ever called the police, because I didn't have any records stating that she did not. But I have been the one calling for help, claiming that I'm abused. I have been robbed. I have been wronged. I have been scammed. I have been swindled. I have been in this unsafe situation. Because I have seen injustice where at a blink of a time they can have you out on the street, they can take everything from you. And she started talking to me as if I was inferior. She didn't know I owned homes, they didn't know I owned cars, she didn't know anything about me.
So let me ask you this: how long did this start after you moved into the residence?
Very, very quickly. So like how I mentioned in April, where she didn't want to mention that she had pushed herself onto me. But I'm not. She yelled at me because I'm not sexually active, which I'm not. I just don't participate in like frivolous sexual escapades. I just don't do that. So she was asking me to go out. There were women that were approaching me. There were women and men, and she jealously handed me drinks and wanted me to pay and just wanted the attention, I guess, of what she considered suitors or at that time. And I'm really not a verbal person. My voice was really hurting me. So a lot of times she was just yelling at me and I wouldn't say anything. I would just sit there while she was just blasting obscenities.
So when did the first act of violence occur?
The first act of violence, I would say it began right before I actually got everything notarized. The first act of violence and abuse and aggression presented itself then.
Began when? Right before you got everything notarized?
Right, because I wasn't going to continue because she started requesting additional, like she wanted my driver's number. She wanted additional information and was forcing me and was calling people to have like bully tactics. And I was reading in Chase, because I've also been a Chase customer. If you're in a situation where people are extracting information from you in a split second, where you don't have time to think if it's a scam or something like that, it probably is. Just be careful. So I just started to be more leery about things. And then she started to leave my door unlocked. And
so the act of violence happened before you moved in?
Before I had physically signed the lease, she had presented acts of violence to make me sign the lease, because I started to like stray away from signing because how she was treating me.
What act of violence did she do to force you to sign the lease?
She was using coercion and threats and like just calling me out of my name, like trying to make the scales unbalanced, make me kind of like question, why I was even asking her in the first place, just make me like question myself. I guess they call it like gaslighting. So I just, made me question, because I was just like, what's the odds of something bad is going to happen again in my life? And I figured maybe it is happening. So I would just.
How long had you known her at that point?
I knew her for a few weeks.
So why did you move in?
I moved in because I was at that point I was spending thousands of dollars on hotels, and I wanted something more stationary, something that can provide a little bit more longevity. And she said she was looking for that, and it was compatible at the time. There was a few things that I was concerned about, but I thought that I could possibly overlook, given my present circumstances that I had found myself in. It was basically just I needed something to survive and allow my money to rest, while I was also gathering more work, because as she had mentioned about me being arrested, I was forced out of a 5-star hotel in Atlanta, where I paid, had first class flights and all this stuff, because my kids are in a residence where I do not know they are being abused. They have been abused, and I contacted them when I was assaulted when I was pregnant, and they never arrested that person either. So I just had to move in a different way, because once I was misplaced from my residence, I worked for myself. I wasn't actively making an income. So just because I had a surplus of money didn't mean I had to budget that money so the money could work for me, so that I wouldn't be arrested, because that's why I didn't know the address to even send any kind of form of payments, or to have some kind of stability where I could get my children unsafe situation to get my cases heard in the first place. So it wasn't as if I was a bad person. I didn't assault anybody. It just something that I have to fight in court. It's just something, it's just the plight of mine. It's just the peril that I'm just trying to overcome.
Okay,
So
let's get back to this. So are you asking to return to the apartment even though she's the person on the lease and is that what you're asking?
I am asking that because I did pay in advance and I've spent thousands of dollars on hotels to the point it's diminishing my funds, and the judge had granted me, access there because I did pay, and the evidence that I did show in my testimony. So I just wanted a moment where I didn't have to think every day, okay, where is my next dwelling going to be? Or just, it's just very exhausting at this moment to, be present every day when there's continuously like this uphill battle that I'm facing.
Okay. Madam Clerk, can you pull up the exhibit that you mentioned that may have been a collage of pictures? Just a minute. You'll have a chance in just a minute, Ms. Clark. So what is this?
This is some of the injuries that I've sustained from Ms. Clark.
All right. Can you tell me when and what those are of what we're looking at in them?
It's just a accumulation of attacks. I barely had these that I had because I did grab the cell phones. If I didn't grab the cell phones at that moment, I would have had nothing because she was trying to extract all the evidence that day because the police told me to film and record her. That's her running into the bathroom. She stole items from me. That way you see her legs, and that blue item is that to the right or to the left? I think that's like in between her legs. That was actually me on the bed where she had pushed me off. I may actually have some footage of that, but I don't think it's admissible in court because I didn't file it the proper way. But she forcefully pushed me off the bed. I've never put my hands on her. She as you can see, my hands, I'm begging her to get out of the room, to leave me alone. She busts into the room. As you can see, I don't know if I'm enlarging it. Her dog is there. She had her dog there. She's yelling obscenities. This is me waking up. Again, I'm in a very non-threatening form. And again, I've always felt like I had to conform to society. Like even if she mentioned me being transgender enough, I'm not a threat to anyone. I don't hassle, but I've had to deal with racism, like I said, and it can be used if people don't know the entire story. So I did just stay in that situation.
Okay, we can take this down, Madam Clerk. Thank you. So what about that where she alleged that you kicked her down the stairs? You mentioned in your questions to her that she provoked you into physical altercations. It sounds like that could have gone both ways at times from what your questions were and what she testified to. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'm glad you clarified that because it's the way that I spoke. So what I'm saying is she would push me. I'm not saying that it provoked me to push her back. I did not. I constantly allowed her to push me, which gave her cause and reason to feel as if I was not going to ever put my hands on her, which I did not have any intent to put my hands on her. I don't hit women. That's not what I do. When she attacked me, I don't know. I don't know if that's what women do. She just pulled my hair. She's just punching me, and I'm allowing her to do this. She's literally on my back. She's literally on my person while this is happening. And like she's bending my fingers. I don't even have mobility in my fingers. She was scratching my hands. She was prying my car keys out of my hand. Just numerous things that she was doing, and she just wanted to fight. She just wanted. I've dealt with females, and usually that's a sign she just wants to get out that aggression, whether it be sexual, physical. She just has a lot of pent up energy, and she just exerted it on me. So I
Okay,
never
so tell me
engaged.
this. What about when she ran next door to the neighbor?
I was running out. I was leaving I was gone. I left the house to call the police. I phoned the police. I called the police. I had the EMS, and they told me my heart was elevated. I also included notes from my treating doctor. I had to get a CAT scan. I had to get my hand x-rayed. I had to have pain medicine. I had to have ice because she was just like choking me on my neck. She was just huddled. She just wanted to just be all on me, scratching me, everything.
All right. So is there anything else you want the court to know about what you have alleged and what's been alleged against you?
I do, yes, Your Honor. I do want the court to know that she has been painting me in an ill light. I am like, shy to speak because of what society may perceive, but I again, she wanted me in her home, but it was the importance of where she wanted to take things from me. Also, I don't know, I'm just like a little distracted on watching like.
Okay, so this is the chance where Miss Clark will have a chance to ask me some questions about what Miss Wynn has testified to. So Miss Clark, do you have a few questions that you would like me to ask? Remember, this is not testimony. This is just ask specific questions.
I sure do.
Okay, go ahead. What's the first question you would like me to ask?
The first question is going to be, did DeKalb County Judge Yolanda Barker Smith declare her mentally unstable?
All right, her question is, when would this have been?
I'm here with a sealed letter from DeKalb County right here.
So it has to be submitted into evidence for me to consider it ahead of time, like it said on your notice. So what is the date? Just tell me what.
The date, February 22nd, 2022.
Okay, so that was over a year ago. So, ma'am, the question is just, I guess, as to the competence of the testimony, have you been declared mentally incompetent at some point?
To answer your question, Your Honor, Judge Yolanda could not declare me. I was a pro se at the time when I was being harassed. My children had just been victims of sexual abuse. DeKalb County had failed us on all fronts. I had called them when I was pregnant and I was a victim of violence. They didn't offer resources like the women's resources or TPOs. Again, me being, people trying to dig up dead bones or have me pay debts that I didn't even do. Like I had to sit there and take the abuse, if I should say, from Michael Wynn, whoever she wanted to get these open public records from. Anybody can see. I have pictures and I have incident reports, and now he has,
So I understand that. We're going too far into something. So just are you currently under any mental health treatment?
No, and I also for me to be even, like you said, on testosterone, I have to be mentally clear. So what people want to say, if Michael want to say my kids are confused about me being transgender, that's a personal problem. My kids will probably also be confused to know that they're conceived from rape and I was intoxicated.
We don't need to go into
assaulted.
That's not what's before the court. But I understand you're saying that's some of the background. Okay, hold on, Ms. Clark. All right, Ms. Clark, what is your next question?
Did the judge have concerns about Ms. Wynn's mental health and stability as she stated in this when she lost her kids last year?
Okay, I'm not going to go into why she lost her kids. If she's
I'm just stating that she has a mental health issue.
I understand that. And you've asked that question, and she has said that she was before the court based on different allegations. So there were some, Ms. Wynn, there were some, back in 2022, there were some concerns expressed by a judge regarding mental health status. Is that correct?
The judge had expressed concerns
answer
because
yes or
I was
no first, and then you can explain.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and I'll determine how much weight that is given. But
right, because mental health could be the abuse that Lakia Clark was saying, calling me peculiar, bull dagger.
I understand. Okay, Ms. Clark, do you have another question?
I do.
Go ahead.
Did we ever discuss her having children? Because I never knew she had kids until after she left the home. So she's stating about her children and stuff. Did we ever discuss her family or children? Did I know that she was married or had children prior to 6/2?
I can't ask what you knew, but did y'all ever have a discussion about your children, ma'am, prior to 6/2?
Yes, because she was talking about my kids being mixed with Asian and talking about their eyes and doing a lot of things to incite riot, saying that's why my husband beat me and I made all these allegations, talking very, very, and nobody should have to sustain that kind of talk about kids that she doesn't even know anything about. But like I said, these are open records.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Yeah, all right. So next question, ma'am.
Next question is going to be,
How does it
do you have a record of each of your last 2 addresses? You put cases on each person, yes or no?
Have you filed against against people who reside in the past 2 residents you've been at, Ms. Wynn?
The past 2 residents? I've lived a few places. I mean,
the past 2 residences you've been at, have you filed something, a civil case against either of those past 2 residences?
I mean, the past 2 can be since I was from 2. She can, I mean, I don't
the 2 places you lived before the one you were at in this case.
Not directly prior. I've lived other places, but you know, if she wanted to get every record that I've ever filed the TPO of people, because I have a record of allowing people to abuse me. You want to listen to the records. So,
all right, Miss Clark.
Did you claim that the last residence that you lived in Austell, the person that you were on the lease, did you claim abuse and that she stole your property and the same things that you're claiming against me?
So did you claim the same thing against where you were living in Austell against the people you were living with there that you are claiming in this case?
Again, these are federal investigations because it was lost in the mail. So with the United Postal Services, their investigation. So
my question is the question was, did you file and claim the same thing against the people in Austell? Yes or no?
Have people known that I had money and stole from me? Yes, I have.
Ma'am, did you file a petition claiming the same things against people in Austell that were residing with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You can always explain afterwards, but you got to answer the questions. Yes, no, or I don't know. All right. Next question.
Do you have a history of family violence within the last 3 years?
Okay, I'm not going to allow that question unless it's with you and you have personal knowledge of it.
So I do have personal knowledge of it.
Were you involved? You were there to witness it?
Oh, no, I wasn't there to witness it.
Then I'm not going to allow that question.
Okay. Can I go with the next question?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you arrested a month before moving in with me?
Unless you were involved, that also is not relevant.
Okay. Are those pictures that you just shown with those, did you do that to yourself? Are they fake? Because they're not on any of these agreements right here from when the police came to the house. Did the police tell you that those were old and that you were making them up? Yes or no?
All right. Did the police tell you the pictures were old and you were making them up, Miss Wynn?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Next question.
Why do you want to move in with a place? Why would you want to come back to someone who abused you and did all these things to you?
All right. Why? I think that's already been asked in a different way, but why are you going back if the residence was such a bad living circumstance?
Yeah, she's asking why I'm seeking justice for myself. The same reason why I'm fighting for my children. I'm fighting because just like I said, just how she's in her home, just how I lost, hundreds of thousands, $100,000 in that home. That was a brand new home indicator, newer than her home. She's trying to compare and say all these things, or cars that I didn't have that I paid cash for. You don't even know anything about me. You want to focus on the negative things and nothing that I've done for myself, working for myself, things of that nature. I want to return because I paid for that. Or with this civil hearing, you can return my funds. Well, I don't even know your financial situation.
So this is not the place to get damages for breach of contract or anything like that. This is just intervention family violence.
Yes, Your Honor. It's because I paid. I paid to be at the residence, and there's no reason why I should have to be attacked. There's no reason why I have to be victimized. There's no reason why my belongings have to be stolen. There's no reason why I have to face homelessness or live outside, because I did everything right. So I have to file within the courts. I have to have somebody try to dig up bones while we're on live. Anybody can watch this. That's why anybody can look up my name. That's why I do what I do, because what am I going to do? Allow somebody like this to get me shot by the police? Or these things are circulating in our community. I've been around people who are advocates for community, disenfranchised people, marginalized people. I don't wish to put anybody in a situation, but I'm not going to allow somebody to victimize me or talk about my children that they have no knowledge of. And that's when she continues to overstep her boundaries and doesn't realize we just have a rental agreement. Or if she wanted me to help her with things with her job and filling up her tank and running errands with her and helping her out, that's out of the kindness of my heart. No way is that weakness, and no way do I feel like I shouldn't be compensated or reimbursed or upheld with what I paid for. She doesn't get to just assault me. She doesn't get to talk about my children. She doesn't get to talk about
I'm going to need you to bring it down a little bit. I understand these are very difficult, but this is not the time to yell and scream. It is a time to politely, civilly, as best as possible, answer the questions. So this is about intervention of family violence. Do you have any more questions, Ms. Clark?
She stated several times we don't know each other. Do we know each other?
I think she's already answered. I'm not sure. I don't understand that question because hold on. What was testified to is y'all met on Craigslist, and then there was a lease, and then they lived together for a period of time. All right.
Okay.
What mean by no? Is there anything different than you mean by did you know each other?
Meaning she keeps saying that I talked about her children, but I never knew this girl. I never knew she had children until she left, and I started looking up her record. I
think she's saying you're talking about them now. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. You'll have your chance to testify.
So my next question is the room agreement that she signed, is it month to month with a 30-day written notice?
So that's not relevant to whether there's acts of family violence at this point. That's relevant to a breach of contract or an eviction.
Did she kick me down the steps?
All right. What about, did you kick her down the steps?
No, Your Honor.
How did she end up at the bottom of the steps?
When was she at the bottom of the steps? Did I submit pictures of her kicking me and her pushing me down the steps?
So your testimony, she's making all of this up?
She attacked me, yes, Your Honor. And I didn't even believe that she would attack me, I didn't even believe that she could attack me. For the remainder of the time, I'm having to hold this girl off of me from attacking me. She's like literally attacking me. What made her feel like when I stopped, like she just felt like she couldn't overpower me. But that's none of her business if I try to overpower me. She doesn't have to try me in that manner. Like that's what she wanted to do. So I don't know. Well, and I asked her, is she bipolar? What kind of psychosis she's dealing with? Because why would somebody wake up in the morning, want to call somebody names who already gave you money, who is being nice to you? I filled up her tank, $50 gas, buying her this. She yells at me when I wants to get groceries, saying I'm supposed to be the man. I'm not. I didn't know I was signing up to be in a relationship with her. She was saying I was her girlfriend. I don't even adhere to those terms, or I didn't agree to anything outside of anything like that.
Any other questions, Ms. Clark?
So she said she does not have any family violence, which she's not telling the truth about.
And to answer your question, like I said, you don't know me. I'm a victim of abuse. I was put into the system.
So hold on, we're not going to just start off. Stop. No, everybody, when I speak, please do not speak over me. We're still in court. These are formal proceedings. You each had a full chance to testify. I understand what you've said, Ms. Wynn, but there's also allegations that you have also been violent, and that's where I'm trying to figure out from both sides right now. And so, Ms. Clark, do you have any more questions?
Yes.
Okay,
Did she threaten to shoot me with my brothers at the house?
Was her brother there when you allegedly threatened to shoot her?
No, Your Honor, and I should have asked her that she submitted any evidence, because I don't know if you're the same judge that she was actually granted the parte, because I was actually surprised.
I'm not, and it doesn't matter. We do it on testimony. Hold on. Sworn testimony at the time of the ex parte hearing and how it happens. And then there's an opportunity for both sides to submit evidence. Right now, you have instructions on how to submit evidence, and I don't look at evidence unless and until it's brought into this hearing while we're having right now. Okay, so what's been presented is what I'm looking at. That's the only thing I've seen in this case. All right, go ahead, Ms. Clark. Do you have any other questions?
She didn't answer if she threatened to shoot me or not.
I think she said no.
Oh, okay. No other questions. This process is a little confusing. I went through the Women's Advocate Center I didn't even get a thing about submitting any evidence or any of that. This whole
okay, it's on page 6 of the order that you get emailed.
Okay.
I looked at the order on page 6, where it's same place where the virtual. So hold on, y'all. The same place as the virtual notice. There's 2 pages at the end. It also says how to submit evidence ahead of time. It should be submitted 24 hours ahead of time. It's the same notice as the Zoom link. And it's part of the ex parte order. So if you have the ex parte order with the date on it, the back of the order has all that information.
Okay. Well, I read the order, and like I said, it's a confusing process. I actually put in days before. I called crying and boo-hoo crying, going up to the courthouse, boo-hoo crying about this. And that's when Miss Ayana did it for me. She can testify how distraught I was.
Now,
so
I understand. You can testify how distraught you were. Okay, I hear what you're saying. And I know this is a difficult process. I know this is a difficult process for people not familiar with the process, but I am limited by the law and the rules of evidence, even though we are pro se and not represented by attorneys here, okay? So, based on everything I've heard, I do have concerns that if an order is not issued, there will be violence in the future between the parties. Based on the testimony, facts testified to by each side, evidence presented, and the particularities of the testimony, I am going to do something I don't normally do, but I have concerns in this case, given what I've heard from everyone. So I am going to grant both orders. But the first order, 23 PO 5137, Lakia Clark versus Samaria Nguyen, that order, both orders will be in effect for 12 months. The other party cannot have any contact with the other party at all. Not direct, not indirect, not through text, email, calls, anything. Ms. Clark will be awarded the sole and exclusive possession of the residence. You cannot go back there, Ms. Wynn. You cannot contact her or come within 100 yards of her, except you will be given one time only to be arranged in advance with law enforcement on or before July 15th to go with, and the number will be on your order, to retrieve your remaining personal belongings. Okay? Before that time, the parties are not to destroy either the joint property of the parties or either petitioner's property. All right? And not cancel any of the utilities or anything like that. I'm not going to order the Family Violence Intervention Program because it sounds like there was no intimate relationship here. There is no familial relationship, and there is no reason that the parties should have any future contact, no kids, nothing. So I'm not going to order the Family Violence Intervention Program. But while this order is in effect, neither party can possess a firearm under federal law, under each order. All right. So Ms. Clark, your order will say that Ms. Wynn has a chance when arranged in advance with law enforcement, escorted by law enforcement, to get her personal belongings by July 15th. Ms. Wynn, your order will say that you will have an opportunity to, same thing, one trip only, to arrange by July 15th of 2023 to get your personal belongings. Okay? There is not going to be a compliance date because you will not be doing the Family Violence Intervention Program. You just need to stay away from each other, except for that one trip arranged by law enforcement and escorted by law enforcement. You will each get a copy of the order awarding in your case, and in the other case, to get a copy of the order against you, you will need to reach out to the clerk's office in a day or so, and they will get you a copy of that order. Okay? Thank you both. I know this has been a lot and a very difficult situation, and I hope things go smoother in the future.
She's
Will you hand me my scream box?